Hey y'all, Jim here with Sunrise Farm. Thanks so much for stopping by today. In today's video, I thought I would just kind of give you an update as to the status of my greenhouse where I've already started some tomatoes and peppers, and talk about the two kind of recent um, VivoSun little greenhouse heaters that I purchased, and just kind of give some thoughts on that as well. And then at the end of this video, I'm going to kind of give you a sneak peek at an upcoming video and reveal a surprise that we're getting ready to transition to here on our farm. So stay tuned for that. Let's first take a look in the greenhouse. All right, well, just a couple of quick thoughts about the greenhouse. First of all, in case you haven't seen one of my other videos about it, this is just a little simple greenhouse. It's relatively, I don't want to say cheap. It is cheap in cost, but it's decently made for 160 bucks. It's 10 feet by 20 feet. So that's the space that I'm trying to warm up. As I stand here right now doing this video, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon. When I came out and it's currently about 52 degrees outside, but when I came out this morning at 7:30, it was 34 degrees outside, and it was right at 69 degrees in here. And I'll show you now, I think it's over 80 in here. In fact, I need to open up the end here just to relieve some of the heat in here. But I just wanted to say that, obviously most of middle America and the southeast and even the eastern seaboard is feeling different effects of that Arctic blast. This thing's going on now for about 2 weeks, and of course next week we're going to get probably about 3 days of even worse, and then after that I think it's going to level off some. So for most of us, including me here in the south, I have experienced colder than normal temperatures, not so much in the actual temperature itself, although there were a couple of nights that we experienced low 20s, which is fairly unusual for us. It is more to the point that this last blast or current blast we're kind of coming out of lasted for almost 2 weeks. So obviously that's kind of um, unusual, even for most of us in the country. So it has made some challenges with seed starting and keeping this greenhouse warm at different points of time. And there's a couple of lessons I learned about these little VivoSun heaters. They're great, but there's a couple of lessons I learned that I'll share with y'all. And so you can see one probably in the shot. It's right down there at that end of the greenhouse. There's another one probably off camera right down here at kind of ground level in the greenhouse. And then I have the thermostats at about thigh high. The thermostat wires, the heating sensors, about thigh high, so that I can keep the warm air relatively low since warm air rises. All right, well, let me show you a couple of differences in heating up this greenhouse, and talk about those two heaters in a minute. So I don't know why the camera is doing that. I promise you it's not doing that on the actual thermostat, but it's 82 degrees in here currently. If you can tell, get that to slow down, why the camera again is doing that with those thermostats, I don't know. But the heat sensor on the heat mats say that it's 90 degrees. And then I put one of the thermostats up high, even though the sensor is low, it says it's 88 degrees. But here are a couple of trays. One's a cabbage, one's a broccoli, and they're germinating pretty well. This here is a tray of sweetie cherry tomatoes, and they're germinating pretty well also. Come down here, this is a tray of sweetie cherry tomatoes. They're doing well. I got some onions I still got to get in the ground. But I wanted to talk a minute about, over here I guess I'll say, that I have some of the peppers germinating, and then that's a tray of old German heirloom tomatoes, and it's germinating pretty well. Peppers are a little slow. But one of the things I wanted to point out is this is a tray of bell peppers. And you can see the germination for it is going pretty good. And it's on a heat mat. Now, I only have 2 heat mats, and they're all on this one table. And so that tray that's on the heat mat is going pretty good. I have a second tray of those exact same bell peppers over here that are merely just sitting in the greenhouse, but not on a heat mat of any kind. You can see the difference. Yes, I have some germinating, but you can see the major difference in what being on a consistent warm temperature does with that heat mat for those peppers. I mean, there's no difference in the trays. There's no different in the seed. They all come from the same pack. They're all the same variety. And yeah, so that's pretty wild. So, but let me back up a minute and talk about these little VivoSun greenhouse heaters. Now, first of all, I bought 2 intentionally with the premise that I was going to use them both in my greenhouse. I also knew there might be a couple of nights that I might need to put one in my pump house if the temperatures got really low. That one night that it was getting down to about 22, I had one in the pump house to help keep my pump house warm. Y'all probably seen my pump house. It stays pretty warm in there anyway because it's just like a little miniature house storage shed, if you will. So if it's going to get even down to 27, something like that, I don't worry about that pump house really. But when it was going to get that cold, yeah, I did. But what I found out, and I should have done more research when I bought them, but what I found out is they're 1500 watts. So they pull 12 and a half amps each. For those of you that understand electrical work, and you probably know what I'm getting ready to say, when I had 2 running initially, I would find that it tripped the breaker fairly fast, especially if anything else was being used in my shop tool-wise. But even if it wasn't being used tool-wise in my shop, it didn't take long and the breaker would trip. Why? Because most outlet circuits are on 20 amp, sometimes even 15 amp, but most are on 20 amp breakers. And of course, 12 and a half amps times 2 is 25. So operating at max capacity for a long period of time, I ran into a problem of them tripping on me. So I had, fortunately, I have the ability, since I've been in construction all my life, to make some changes on the electrical so I could end up with 2 circuits so that I could run both heaters at the same time, one on 2 different, one on one circuit and one on another circuit. And the heat mats themselves, they only draw about 1 amp. They're nothing. And so, yeah, so as long after I figured that out and after I separated it and put them on 2 different circuits, they've been working just fine. Um, Even when it's gotten down to, I think the lowest recently since I've had both of these running was about 28 degrees at night. Even then, it was like it only got down to like 61 in here. So while it's not perfect, this greenhouse has a lot of leakability to it, if you will. So there's that. I think it's doing great. All this cold weather has stifled a little bit my germination process because, quite frankly, there is a absolute ton of seeds I still need to get started, which is going to occur this Saturday. I know we got another 3 or so days coming up next week of more severe cold weather, but I'm just going to have to live with it. I need to get these things going. I've delayed because it was so cold for so long. But at any rate, so that's just what I wanted to leave you with. I do have a couple of grow lights, but honestly, I try not to use them. I prefer, since now I have this little greenhouse, I prefer just to keep them in here and let the natural sunlight during the day. Obviously, the days are fairly short for right now down in the south. And I realize that can be a situation, make it even a little slower. But I just prefer to let the natural sunlight do it and just not worry about the grow lights. So unless I have a particular thing I'm doing, celery, for example, I may put it under grow lights until it germinates. But no, I just leave them in here and just leave everything running, and it seems to be fine. Like I said, right now it's 52 outside. It's about 80, 4 or 5 inside. I do need to let a little fresh air in here, which I'll do in just a minute. But so yeah, so that's my update and my thoughts about the little VivoSun greenhouse heaters. And that's VIVOSUN. Um, and they have a lot of heat mats and green grow lights and things of this nature. Not tunnels, but tents, grow tents. So if you're looking for any products like that, I have several VivaSun products, and I've not been disappointed with any of them. I just kind of fair warned you about the amperage on those heaters if you're going to have more than one operating on the same circuit in the same place. So anyway, let me take you in my shop and let me show you what's basically coming up probably for the very next video. Um, and that's going to be the kind of the surprise at the farm, what we're doing. So what do you think this is? Any guesses? Well, this is the makings of a brooder. A brooder, you say? Yeah, brooder. We are expecting our very first chickens on the farm in early February. And so it's time for me to get started with a brooder. I also will be building on this side of my shop a chicken coop, and then I'll let them pasture. I'm going to get some electric fencing, and I'll let them uh, pasture out on pasture during the day. So anyway, this is the upcoming video project, and I hope you'll come back to watch us kind of putting it together a little bit and talk more about it. But that's the surprise. We are getting 60 baby chicks, egg layers, and then we're just going to build up. We're going to probably build up and over 200. A couple of the family members say 500, so we'll see where God leads us. But anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. I hope it's something that y'all can get excited about. We're excited to finally get across that hump and get some baby chicks in here, and be our first time ever owning chickens. In fact, I'm not even really sure we've ever been around chickens. So it's going to be a giant learning curve, but I'm ready. We're all ready here on the farm. So thank you so much for stopping by. If you have any questions or comments, or perhaps even good chicken raising tips, feed, whatever, yeah, please feel free to leave them. I'm always trying to research and learn more and more. One of our goals will be to try to grow as much of our own food and supplement as much of our own food as possible, just to kind of mitigate some overall cost and or to give the birds a little more nutrition in their diet. So yeah, so I just want to thank you so much for stopping by with this little update and announcement of a surprise for you. If you happen to be watching this video, then you'll know ahead of a good many people coming up. So I just want to thank you so much again for stopping by with this video. Each time you do, you're a blessing to me, and I can't thank you enough for watching my channel, my videos, supporting our channel. And if I could ask that you would like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification to get notified of future videos, which today is a Wednesday. And so I hope to have this particular build video out on Saturday or Sunday. That is my goal. So anyway, yeah, so I just thank you so much again for your blessing. Until we meet again next time, take care. God bless you. Have an amazing day in the Lord.